name's Rubina.
And my name's Layla.
Welcome back to our channel, Alimentary My Dear,
where we make nutrition science easy for you to digest.
So today we want to talk about all those crazy nutrition headlines you see online these days.
Like, is sugar really as addictive as cocaine?
Or apparently drinking wine is better for you than exercise.
I don't mind that one.
I know. So does this mean that we need to throw out all of our candy and just hit up the liquor store instead of going to the gym?
I don't know.
I think the simple answer is
no. Unfortunately,
no.
As good as some of these headlines sound, no. That really comes down to is that we can't make decisions about what we should be doing and change like major parts of our lifestyle based off of one study. And there's research coming out really every single day. So if we did that, we'd be making changes every single day, multiple times a day.
Yeah, and it's important to remember, like, multiple research studies could look at the exact same thing and arrive at completely different conclusions. And that's not a bad thing at all. It's actually really welcome in science because that's how you learn more.
And we love to hear all these new headlines about new pieces of research, but new research doesn't necessarily mean better. We kind of have to look at everything that's out there when we make our decision on what should we use to guide our health policies, or what should I use to determine what I should be eating for myself.
It's important to look at the entire body of research because different studies are actually not created equal. We have to look at the quality of the research studies as well.
And really that was like 99% of our entire education is how to look at those studies and know what is good and what is not. So we're going to try and hopefully put some of that knowledge out into you guys so you can be a little bit more aware when you're reading these headlines, or aware when you're getting advice and stuff from people. So
let's start at the lowest level, and that's animal research.
So you've probably heard of lab rats and research done in mice and fruit flies and monkeys and all these different things.
Yeah, and animal studies, they're really useful because they're cheap and you can do a lot of trials on them fairly quickly. So that's why they're used a lot.
And also they're really easy to control as well because all the mice they have are pretty much exactly the same as each other. They like clone the mice. Whereas like if you did the study on people, you'd have lots of variation between people that would kind of mix up your results. In mice, all those mice are exactly the same. But the thing is I'm not a mouse.
No.
And I don't think you're not a fruit fly.
I'm not a fruit fly. So, if you see that sugar and mice, sugar's not that great for mice, does that mean that I can't eat sugar now?
It's hard to tell. And also a lot of times the research that they're doing is so extreme. So if you see a study that says in mice, sugar is just as addictive as cocaine. Well, what they're doing is, let's say, feeding these animals only sugar or completely taking away sugar, which is just not applicable to what it would look like in a human being. It's just not feasible for what you could do in a human being ethically.
Because humans eat a variety of foods, plus our physiology is different. So when we see these studies or these headlines that make these sensationalized claims, you gotta really look at the study to see, well, was it done in humans or was it done in animals? So the next step up is with human studies, but if they're observational studies.
So observational studies, exactly what it sounds like. We're just looking at things as they are. We're not manipulating anything. So a lot of them, they just follow a group of people over a period of time and seeing if some people end up with a certain outcome, and they'll look at what contributed to it. So in nutrition studies, often it's diet and some kind of health outcome.
A limitation of these observational studies, though, is that you can't really determine cause and effect, or you can't really know why there may be an association between two things. And a really good example of that is actually, for example, this is like a make-believe study, but maybe we were looking at certain food consumption and drowning patterns, and we saw that, when people eat more ice cream, there's a lot more drownings. Now, based on a study like that, can we really say, oh no,
we need to ban ice cream.
Ice cream causes people to drown. We need to ban ice cream. No, because when you take a step back, maybe the connection is just that people eat ice cream and people go swimming when it's hot out. And that's the connection. So that's where the limitation of observational studies is. But the benefit of it is that you can look at a large group of people and it's relatively easy and inexpensive to do. And when you can use observational studies to see if we can find a connection between two variables and then maybe look into it further through experiments, which is next step in quality of nutrition research.
So experiments, you might see them if you ever get really into the weeds of like Google Scholar as randomized control trials. So basically this is where you actually manipulate something. So you'll have a group of people and you will give each group of people something different and then see the effect on a certain outcome. So a lot of research that we did looked at different breakfast consumption patterns and whether that had an effect on people's hunger later on in the day, or whether it changed how much they ate later in the day.
Exactly. And experiments are so great because that's pretty much the only way we can really determine cause and effect, because we're isolating a very specific variable, making sure everything else stays the same, and then just tweaking that one variable and seeing how a specific outcome changes. So then we can feel pretty confident that the reason that that change is happening is because of that variable being manipulated. I mean, assuming that the research is done well, of course. So you might be wondering then, why aren't all nutrition research just experiments? And the reason is because, first of all, they're really expensive to do. You know, you have to bring in people and, you know, you're asking people to do very specific things. It does cost a lot more money. And the second thing is that it's not always going to be ethical.
So, you know what, a lot of the studies we get, or a lot of the information we get from observational studies is looking over at people over their lifetime, over a really long period of time. Most ethic boards, if you went to them with a randomized control trial looking from the effects of some dietary thing from birth until the age of 50, are going to say you can't lock people in a laboratory for 50 years. That's just not ethical. And also, as Rubina said, it would cost a lot of money.
And if you think about it, you know, if we're going into the study thinking that, you know what, I think trans fats are bad for people, can we really ask people to just eat a lot of trans fats for 10 years just to see what happens to them?
Probably not. Exactly.
Not the most ethical.
Yeah.
Which is why, you know, despite the limitations of observational studies, they're actually really useful, especially when it comes to nutrition and health, because we can't really ask people to do certain things because, you know, we can't compromise people's health all the time.
Yeah. All right. So we have all these different kinds of studies, and we said that we can't look at one study and determine all our evidence from there, even if it is the best designed, most perfect randomized control trial. So what do we look at for determining things like regulations, or just determining how we should change our behaviors to be healthier?
Yeah, for healthy recommendations, right? So that's where we go next higher up, which is systematic literature reviews or meta-analyses. And basically there's just fancy words for when you look at the entire body of literature, the entire evidence base that we have right now, to see overall what does the evidence say on any specific topic.
And the good thing about these is they'll look at all the studies from all different levels, and then they'll also determine how well they are done, and they'll take into account how well these studies are done and like what level they are, so whether they're observational or experiments. And consider that when they're making their final statement about something. And the really good thing about them is a lot of them are very nuanced and can account for places that maybe we don't have enough research, or can we extend the research that's there to all groups of people? Does it only work in certain groups of people, or others groups of people? So that's a really great thing about meta-analysis and systematic literature reviews.
Yeah, absolutely. And most of the time with, you know, government recommendations, or even health professionals like dietitians, when we make recommendations for people, these are the types of studies that are most often relied upon, as long as, you know, they exist, which unfortunately they don't necessarily exist for every single topic, but those are the ones that we're looking for most often. So why are we even talking about all this? Basically, we want to encourage people to, you know, when you see those crazy headlines, or you see some online influencer telling you to cut something out, or you have to eat this every single day, we have to look at those claims really critically and see, you know, what research are they actually looking at? Is it just research done in animals or in a petri dish, or is it just a random observational study that's contradicted by all the other research that's out there? we have to take these things into consideration before we completely overhaul our lifestyles.
Exactly. And actually, that's something I've noticed with a lot of documentaries, is that they will really cherry pick the studies that they want to include to push their agenda. And that's why it's so important to be able to evaluate things and really critically process how important things are. And so we just wanted to equip you guys with a little bit of knowledge to make things a little bit easier and make sure that you guys aren't being fooled by some of those enticing headlines. If only I could drink wine instead of going to the gym.
Yeah. Who wouldn't want that? Better heart health without lifting weights or going for a jog? Sign me up.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, share this video. Also, click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos.
And subscribe? Did you say subscribe?
Oh, I don't think I said subscribe. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. Follow us on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching.
Bye.
See you next time.